The Senate Committee on Natural Resources will now come to order. Can my wonderful secretary please call roll?
Senator Ellison?
Present.
Senator Hansen?
Here.
Senator Cruz Crawford?
Here.
Senator Scheibel?
Here.
Senator Pizzina?
Present. Okay, we have a quorum. Welcome all of our members and audience members here in Carson City, and not welcome to anyone in Las Vegas, and welcome to everybody on the phone lines. Before we start, I'm going to say a few housekeeping items. Please, when you are testifying, turn your microphone on. Make sure it's green because that picks up your microphone so that we can record it. When you're not speaking, please turn it off and it will be red. If you have handouts for the committee, please give it to the committee secretary prior to your testimony. In addition, exhibits and amendments should be submitted electronically to our committee manager no later than 3:30 the business day before the meeting. So if you're turning it in now, it's late. It's a late assignment. Committee information is available on Nellis, which can be accessed through the legislator's website. You may also watch our meetings through Nellis or our YouTube channel. We ask public comments be kept to 2 minutes. This is the Committee of Law and Order, so if it's not 2 minutes, you will be cut off. But if you are cut off, you can give written public comments to our committee secretary before, after, or up to 24 hours after the adjournment of the meeting. Members of the public may provide testimony here either in person or over the phone line. And finally, please mute your electronic devices. And if you see us on our electronic devices, we are not on social media. We are actually looking at the bills and the amendments and doing our research. So please don't take it as a sign of disrespect. Today we're going to be hearing the bills out of order just because if that works for everybody, because the first bill is shorter. Is that?
140 is the long one.
104 is the long one and 132 is the short one. Assembly Member Anderson, does that work for you or do you have a conflict? Okay, perfect. So we are ready to begin Assembly Bill 32. So I will now open the hearing on AB 32, which is 132, which is a measure that revises provisions relating to water. We have our Assembly Member Urich. Please come to the table and introduce your wonderful guests who we know here. We've allotted 15 minutes to your presentation, but if you end early, you get extra bonus points for each minute.
Chair, I plan to score a lot of extra points with the presentation of this bill. Good afternoon, everybody. Chair Crawford, Cruz Crawford, Vice Chair Scheibel, and all of the distinguished members of the Senate Natural Resources Committee. My name is Toby Urich. I have the honor and privilege of representing Nevada's Assembly District 19. And I'm here today to present AB 132. This bill, I'd like to point out, did pass through the Assembly with unanimous bipartisan support. And I'm grateful to bring it here to you all as it continues along its legislative journey. As many of you probably know, Nevada's ongoing drought continues to put pressure on our wildlife populations and natural habitats. And so this bill was actually brought to me by Nevada's Coalition for Wildlife. Basically what we're trying to do is try to find a practical, cost-effective solution to help address some of these pressures. And so I'd like to begin by turning things over to my co-presenter, Mr. Larry Johnson. He's the president, as you all I'm sure are aware, of Nevada Coalition for Wildlife, who's just going to provide a very brief background and set some context, and then I'll briefly run through what the minimal provisions of this bill are and take any questions you have.
Madam Chair, committee members, thank you very much. I'm Larry Johnson with Coalition for Nevada's Wildlife. We asked Assemblyman Urich to sponsor this bill for us, badly needed, particularly due to the drought in southern Nevada. Up until about a month ago, we'd had zero precipitation in like 8 or 9 months in the Las Vegas Valley, et cetera. We have many mountain ranges there that are in dire straits, not only for water resources, but also for forage because of that lack of precip. This bill allows the expansion of our artificial water developments to increase their capacity, which have been taxed to their absolute limit, okay? First of all, let me explain. A guzzler is an artificial impervious surface. Most of the time, it's a sheet metal surface that is supported by structural steel. Sometimes it is actually a natural slick rock single bed in southern Nevada, mostly of limestone, that collects precipitation and runoff. These artificial surfaces, the sheet metal aprons, are sloped to drain to a gutter system that then drains into a downspout that then drains into storage tanks. From the storage tanks, water is metered out into a drinker that all wildlife has use of. And when I say all wildlife, I'm talking about everything from bugs to birds to bats to big game. Every conceivable bit of wildlife that you could imagine uses these features. We have used them to expand viable habitat for our big game animals, simply because man's encroachment has kind of monopolized oftentimes water sources, and wildlife is left out. And so we have built these water developments in desert mountain ranges and all over the state. We built some for bighorn sheep, some for antelope, some for elk, a little bit of everything, a lot of small game guzzlers for quail and chukar, etc. Okay, there's probably a couple thousand of these around the state. Probably nearly 1,000 of them are big game units that have larger aprons, bigger storage capacity. This bill would allow the expansion of the storage capacity of these artificial units from 20,000 gallons to a 40,000 gallon, and would allow pipelines down to drinkers to be expanded as well. These are very difficult times. The Department of Wildlife has just completed airlifting with helicopters, emergency water lifts into guzzlers in southern Nevada at great cost with sportsman dollars. And when I say great cost, I'm talking about $400,000 or $500,000 involved in these things. We'll also be thinning the density of some of these herds because lack of forage and limited water resources. And so sportsman groups work kind of in partnership with the Department of Wildlife to build, maintain all of this. It's all in the big picture of wildlife management. Toby?
Very good. Well, committee, with that as a background and a context, I'll walk you through the brief provisions of this bill. Under Section 1, we're literally going to be changing the maximum allowable capacity, as Mr. Johnson just indicated, from the current $20,000 max to, I'm sorry, $20,000. My mind's on money right now for some reason. 20,000 gallons to 40,000 gallons, so doubling the maximum capacity that these guzzlers can hold, and then also to increase the reach of the pipe length from 1/4 mile to 1/2 mile. And that is the short and sweet of this bill. And Chair, with your permission, we're ready to take any questions you and the committee might have.
Thank you, sir. A famous rapper once said, "I have my mind on my money and my money on my mind." With that being said, do we have any questions? Senator Ellison?
Thank you, Madam. I've seen a lot of guzzlers out there, but usually most of them on public lands are put in by BLM or maintained by BLM. So if this is going to be under the sportsman, are they going to do all the maintenance to keep these things open? And can you answer that?
Yeah. Through the chair to Senator Ellison. Yes, most of these projects are on BLM land, but they are not BLM maintained or constructed, okay? these, the great majority of these, I've built some with BLM, but they are inspected, maintained by Nevada Department of Wildlife. And sportsman groups have privately organized inspection and maintenance tours of these guzzler units to where the maintenance it's under the jurisdiction of the Department of Wildlife, but oftentimes private sportsman groups actually do the work.
And the reason why I asked this, I've seen some through the years that they put them in and they were small guzzlers and once animals start going towards them and then they dry up because they're blocked or whatever, then that creates a problem because they'll come back fighting, trying to see if there's any water in there. But I think the biggest thing is trying to keep them maintained no matter who does it. It's the biggest thing. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator Hansen?
Thanks, Madam Chair. Actually, just more of a comment. Mr. Johnson here has installed hundreds of these, representing not only the coalition, but also Nevada Bighorns Unlimited, Fraternity of the Desert Bighorn. I'm not sure if Elk Foundation, all those guys got involved too. But to Mr. Johnson's credit, he has been so actively involved literally his entire adult life. A lot of respect for this guy. He has, none of us are getting any younger, but I must say Larry has done more probably than anybody I know in Nevada on helping with these kind of things. He's been active in all those organizations. He's been involved with all their fundraisers, their dinners. So you got a guy sitting in front of you who really has done a tremendous amount of good, that not only for, big game that people that enjoy hunting, but for literally every animal out there that benefits from having these. They're really just artificial springs is what they really are. So Bill's great. Thanks for bringing it, Toby. And sage hens, you bet. Sage hens benefit as well. So I just want to let everybody know he's not just, here talking. The amount of work this gentleman has done is phenomenal.
Chair, if I
Thanks,
might,
Ben.
Toby York for the record, just add a quick comment to that as well, is one of the things that I learned through bringing this bill and working with Mr. Johnson was that those volunteer hours that he and his volunteers do put together are actually accumulated to gather federal dollars that actually bring resources into the state and also help with some of this stuff as well. So, yeah, it's been a privilege to work with him, the coalition, so I appreciate your comments as well.
Very good. And there are hundreds of people. Larry's probably honestly like the peak of these volunteer groups, but there are hundreds and hundreds of people around the state that are actively involved with that, including maintenance. So, been a really fantastic program, and this is a very reasonable bill.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Looks like no more questions, so if you'd like to step back, we will take any.
Do we get bonus points?
You actually had 5 minutes, Larry. That's amazing. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. We are going to take testimony in support for a Assembly Bill 132 here in Carson. Seeing 1, 2, 3. You may begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Christy Cabrera-Georgeson. I'm the Deputy Director of the Nevada Conservation League. We are here in strong support of AB 132. Water consistently is a limiting factor for wildlife across the West, and these guzzlers have become really critical to wildlife survival. So this just expands a tool to help benefit wildlife. We urge the committee support. Thank you.
Brad Bauman, Nevada Department of Wildlife. I'm a wildlife staff specialist with the Department of Wildlife. I oversee the guzzler program, the water development program statewide. And I will put a few numbers to this, but the Department of Wildlife is in support of increasing the capacity from 20,000 gallons to 40,000 gallons and the pipeline from a quarter mile to a half mile. We have approximately 1,790 of these water developments throughout the state. And to touch on maintenance a little bit, We try to visit each one of these guzzlers at least once every 3 years by doing maintenance and inspections on them. A lot of them are done by helicopter, but we will go in on the ground. If you do know of any that need maintenance, get a hold of the Department of Wildlife and we will correct that. There are 489 of these that will be applicable to the increased capacity. 3 of these guzzlers are at the 20,000 gallon capacity right now, and I'm going to tell a little story that happened on Tuesday. There's one guzzler in particular down by Las Vegas in the Muddy Mountains. It's between Las Vegas and Lake Mead. This guzzler has a capacity of 19,000 gallons. It's just under that 20,000 gallon capacity. We have a monitor on this guzzler that will show us the level of it. We hauled 9,000 gallons of water with a helicopter to this one, and usually this costs about $15,000 a day to haul water to them. Las Vegas recently got rainstorms on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Tuesday night, I watched this guzzler fill all the way on the monitor. They're linked by satellite and I can watch them real time. And since it filled, what happens is we have an overflow and that water will just go out onto the ground. And thinking of this bill and the recent situation that we're in, I'm like, boy, it sure would be nice to capture those extra gallons that are falling out onto the ground right now to make them available for wildlife. With that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Olivia Tanager on behalf of the Sierra Club Toyabe chapter. For the record, I'm here to voice strong support for AB 132. This bill gives land and wildlife managers the tools they need to ensure that animals, especially in remote or arid areas, have access to critical water resources. These guzzlers are low-impact solutions with big returns for biodiversity, ecosystem health, and even outdoor recreation. They help sustain game and non-game species alike and reduce pressure on natural springs. This is smart solution, and we appreciate the bill sponsor bringing it forward, and I urge your support. Thank you.
AVH, do we have anyone testifying in support on the phone line?
If you would like to testify in support to AB 132, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, you have no callers wishing to testify in support at this time.
Anyone here in Carson City wishing to testify in opposition to AB 132? Seeing none, AVH, do we have anyone on the phone line wishing to testify in opposition to AB 132?
If you would like to testify in opposition for AB 132, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Okay.
Chair, the public line is open and working. There are no callers wishing to testify in opposition at this time.
Anyone here in Carson City wishing to testify in neutral? Seeing none, AVH, do we have anyone online wishing to testify in neutral?
If you would like to testify in neutral for AB 132, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, you have no callers wishing to testify in neutral at this time.
Okay, it looks like our sponsor, thank you, Assembly Member, waives his rights to close. So we are going to close the hearing for AB 132, and we're going to open the hearing for Assembly Bill 104. Thank you, Assemblymember Anderson. I knew this was a longer bill, and so I appreciate the availability to switch that. I am now going to open the hearing on AB 104, which is a measure that revises provisions relating to water. We have Assemblymember Anderson, Andrew Bellinger, and Jeff Fontaine that are here at the table. You have 15 minutes. We do realize this is a little bit longer of a bill, so if you need some more time, we will give you an extra 30 seconds on that. And if you need more, you can always come and ask for more. Okay. Thank you so much. You may begin.
Thank you. I am pleased to present Assembly Bill 104 along with Mr. Alan Biaggi, Mr. Andy Bellinger, and Mr. Jeff Fontaine. The bill comes out of a joint interim standing committee on natural resources, which I was fortunate enough to serve as a vice chair this past interim. And my name is Natha Anderson. It is my honor to represent Assembly District 30. The committee, the interim committee, unanimously recommended this bill draft be requested, which creates the Nevada Voluntary Water Rights Retirement Program, along with revising other provisions related to water. My co-presenters will actually walk you through the sections of the bill, but I'm just going to try to do a really quick little background as well. As we all know, water is the issue that faces us, whether it is trying to make sure that we've got enough water for our wild animals or for ourselves. One big issue we're currently dealing with is groundwater basins that are over-appropriated and over-pumped. During the interim, we heard about water rights retirement programs in other states, as well as the voluntary pilot program started in Nevada by DCNR. The pilot program granted $25 million of ARPA funding to 4 different entities, and this program ultimately led to approximately 21,000 acre-feet of water rights being retired from willing sellers. Establishing a water rights retirement program in statute would be simply a step forward in our state in addressing overappropriation and overpumping. Additionally, there are other provisions in this bill which encourage a variety of things. Most important, actually I cannot tell you which one is most important because there's so many different areas of it. The statewide working group that developed this language started meeting in December of 2023 and has continued to meet just about every week during the session. And between the time before that, it was about every 5 to 6 weeks. When I'm talking with my constituents in Sparks, water rights was, believe it or not, a recurring theme. It was something that I would hear about, even though it's not something people would talk about always in private or in public. But believe it or not, even in my little area of Sparks, it was something that was talked about because over-appropriation was a huge concern. As the interim committee continued to work on it, it was something that I was able to bring up to these individuals who would then discuss it. Because I'm not an expert in this. I don't think any of us truly are, with the exception of some of these individuals that are here today. But it was a way for them to be able to agree with each other, to disagree with each other, to find solutions which maybe not everybody would be comfortable with or would always agree with, but they were able to be comfortable with something to move forward. I would now like to turn it over to my co-presenters to walk through the sections of the bill as well as the proposed amendment with the chair's permission.
Good afternoon, Chair Cruz Crawford and Senate Natural Resource Committee members. It's a pleasure to be before you again. It's been a few years since I've been here. My name is Alan Biaggi. That's spelled B as in boy, I-A-G-G-I. I'm representing the Nevada Mining Association today, but also a diverse group of water professionals, most of whom are in the room this afternoon. We all know groundwater is a critical resource in Nevada, and it's facing pressures like none before, including an increasing population base in Nevada, climate change, and the need for reliable and up-to-date resource information. Changes to Nevada water law are complex and technically challenging, and change is difficult in the 120-day session. Our group has been meeting for the last 17 months to identify a consensus where changes in water law may be appropriate. While we discussed a lot of concepts, we landed on the Water Rights Retirement Program. This voluntary program would allow willing sellers to relinquish water rights for compensation and directs the state engineer to permanently retire those rights from future allocation. While AB 104 deals primarily with water rights retirement, it does have other water rights related issues which will be discussed. These include water reuse, variances to certain water quality standards, and in Southern Nevada, revocable rights, fee usage, septic tanks, and turf removal. The language of 104 has had public review and input, and perhaps most importantly, it was presented to the interim Joint Standing Committee on Natural Resources, which recommended the language move forward as a committee draft request. Finally, AB 104 was amended from its original version in the Assembly to remove the fiscal note and to streamline the groundwater rights retirement process. I'll provide a brief overview of each section of the bill. I'll try and go as quickly as I can. I know time is of the essence, but I'm happy to answer any questions before we move forward and before Mr. Belanger addresses some additional amendments. Okay. Section 1 of the bill simply amends NRS 533, which addresses the appropriation of groundwater, and it's amended to be consistent with Section 4 of this bill. Sections 2 and 3 amend NRS 533, 370, and 371, and directs the state engineer to reject an application and refuse to issue a permit of groundwater retired pursuant to Section 4 of this bill. This ensures that groundwater rights that have been retired are not reallocated in the future. Section 4 amends Chapter 534 of NRS, which is underground water and wells, and does 4 things. First, it establishes the Nevada Voluntary Water Rights Retirement Program. Second, it allows the state engineer to retire rights by means he or she deems appropriate. Third, it precludes water rights that have been retired from allocation in perpetuity, and that was also reflected in Section 2 and Section 3. And 4, it sunsets the program in 2035. The sunset provision was put into place to encourage willing water sellers to come forward as quickly as possible and recognizes this is a unique program that should be evaluated as to its success and its effectiveness over time. Of course, the legislature has the discretion of extending the sunset. Section 5 and 6 are not components of the Nevada Voluntary Water Rights Program and were requested by the Southern Nevada Water Authority. These sections amend NRS 534 to clarify temporary versus revocable permits and establish as a 1,250-foot drilling prohibition for domestic wells from wells in the municipal service line in Southern Nevada. It should be noted that revocable permits are exclusively used in the Las Vegas Valley. Sections 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 amend NRS 232, which addresses executive departments of the state of Nevada and establishes the framework for the program. Section 8 creates the Nevada Conservation and Recreation Program within the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. The program is to be administered by its director and includes a grant program, the Nevada Voluntary Water Rights Retirement Program, and gives the director the discretion to adopt regulations to operate the program. Section 9, subsection 1, establishes the account for retiring water rights within the general fund. Subsection 2 provides the authority for the account to accept any direct legislative appropriations, and I want to point out there are none requested within this bill, and for the director to apply for and accept any gifts, donations, bequests, grants, federal money, or other sources of funding. Subsection 3 states that the money in the account can be used only for the Nevada Voluntary Water Rights Retirement Program. Subsection 4 allows for the investment and reinvestment of the funds and proceeds returning to the account. And this has to be done in accordance with the public investment provisions of NRS 355. Subsection 5 allows for funds to remain in the account with no reversion to the general fund. Subsection 6 provides authority to the director to partner with a public or private entity to apply for, obtain, and manage funds within the account. Subsection 10 places the Nevada Voluntary Water Rights Retirement Program into the Nevada Conservation and Retirement Program, which is created in Section 8. And subsection 1 outlines the very important goals of the program, specifically to protect natural resources, to address declining water levels in water basins, and address conflicts with existing rights or with protectable interests such as domestic wells. Subsection 2 outlines how the director shall administer the program, specifically by using the funds in the account to identify and purchase for retirement from willing sellers. Priority will be given to those basins where an order has been issued by the state engineer precluding new appropriations, and for the retirement goals and outlined in section 1, subsection 1. Subsection 3 outlines the process for documenting retired water rights with the Office of the State Engineer. Subsection 4 defines when the director may initiate the retirement process. And subsection 5 again references the June 30, 2035 sunset provisions. Sections 11 and 12 have been deleted by amendment. Section 13 is simply a consistency change in NRS 232. Section 14, subsection 2 adds the Nevada Conservation and Retirement Program and the Advisory Committee for the Voluntary Retirement Program into the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. And I'd like to point out the Advisory Committee was deleted by the previous amendment in the Assembly. Section 15 has been deleted by amendment. Section 16 makes changes to NRS 349, the program to provide grants for water conservation and capital improvements. Subsection 1B clarifies wording concerning the recovery and measurement of water. Subsection 1B7 allows funds in the program to pay for the removal of grass for water conservation purposes in southern Nevada. Subsection 1B8 allows for program funds to be used for retiring groundwater per the conditions of this bill. Subsection 1C again addresses the revocable permits in the Las Vegas Valley. Section 17 is a wording consistency change. Section 18 is not associated with the Voluntary Water Rights Retirement Program. This section amends NRS 439, which is Public Health and Safety, and clarifies in subsection 4 the conditions for financial assistance to abandon a septic system and connect to a community system. This is an issue specific to Clark County requested by the Southern Nevada Water Authority. Section 19 amends NRS 445A, water pollution control, and again is not associated with the Voluntary Water Rights Retirement Program. This section was requested by the Nevada Division of Environmental Protection, and in subsection 2D is a statement to encourage and promote the reuse and recycling of water by various means in Nevada. Section 20 also amends NRS 445A and again was requested by the Nevada Division of Environmental Protection. Subsection 4 would allow the State Environmental Commission to establish a water quality standard variance pending the approval of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, and these variances are allowed within the Clean Water Act. Section 21 addresses the deletion of the program after the sunset date. Section 21.3 amends Chapter 364, Conservation of Colorado River Water Act, and was requested by the Southern Nevada Water Authority. The section outlines the permissible means of expenditure of fees charged to customers for excess water use. They include, first, repair of existing water leaks on the property. 2, pay for abandonment of septic systems and connected to the municipal water supply. 3, the planting of trees to combat heat island effects. 4, to provide assistance to low-income customers for water bill payment. And 5, other purposes to protect the water supply. Section 21.5 also amends the Conservation of Colorado River Water Act and clarifies the timing of customer irrigation efficiency monitoring. Section 21.7 amends Chapter 272, the Southern Nevada Water Authority Act, at the request of the Southern Nevada Water Authority to remove the provisions related to a resignation or inability of a member to serve on the advisory committee. Section 22 is once again to provide consistency language similar to the changes in Section 5. Section 23 once again addresses revocable permits in Southern Nevada. Section 24 was deleted by amendment, and Section 25 outlines the effective date of the legislation and the sunset provisions. I know Mr. Belanger, Mr. Fontaine, and I would be happy to answer any questions you have, and there's a wealth of knowledge sitting behind me if further detail is needed.
Chair Cruz Crawford, Vice Chair Scheibel, members of the committee, Andy Belanger with the Southern Nevada Water Authority and the Las Vegas Valley Water District. I'm going to walk through the conceptual amendment that the working group worked on. I know there's also an amendment that Senator Wynn, Senator Scheibel, and Senator Cruz Crawford also submitted. It was on Nellis, it's not now on Nellis, but it deletes section 21.3 of the bill in its entirety. And I want to make sure that the record is clear that, that we support that amendment, that we want that amendment processed because it removes that section of the bill. And I'll spend a little bit of time as I go through the conceptual amendment from the group and on that as well. So the sections 2 and 3 of the act, there's a reference to water that's been retired pursuant to the act. We know that's conforming language, but we want to make sure that that language is clear, that it applies to applications that would either request a change or reinstatement of water that has been, groundwater that's been retired. What we don't want to have inadvertently happen is for groundwater basins to be closed because groundwater has been retired in those basins. And so we have worked with the working group to make sure that that is very clear, that if a water right, groundwater right is retired in a basin, it doesn't close the basin. It allows for the state engineer to do his normal administration of that basin, but the water that has been retired cannot be used for future use. So that's what those sections 2 and 3 provisions are in the bill for. If you turn to the remainder of the bill, before we get to section 21.3, we're proposing that the word vested be changed to adjudicated in all of those provisions. We want to make sure that the water rights that are retired are water rights that are actually being used or have been used. And so that will make sure that the state's resources are being used in the most efficient way and that we're not retiring water that is just paper water, water that's never been pumped. And there may be associated water rights with those adjudicated and certificated rights that we want to have affected by that. But that's the purpose of that change, is we want to make sure that we're talking about real water that has been used. When we get to section 21.3 of the bill, I would just want to maybe point out one other thing. In section 10 of the bill, there is an and on line 24 of section 10. SB 36 had that as an or, and so we are changing that bill to conform with SB 36. The working group wanted to make sure that the language in both bills was identical. There was an and that was processed in the assembly. There's an or in SB 36, so we want to make sure that that's clear. It should be an or in that case. Section 21.3, we're proposing to be removed from the bill at the request of Senators Wynn and Cruz Crawford and Scheibel. That language, I want to make clear, was language that we did not intend to bring into the Nevada Legislature in 2025. There was a legislator in the Assembly who had thought about using the excessive use charge for septic conversions because they're on larger lots, and she thought that it would be good for the people who are paying the fee to get a benefit from the fee. It wasn't necessarily something we had thought through and wanted to bring to the legislature, but we didn't obviously have any objection to that. So that was an idea. The idea of doing a low-income assistance program was another idea that we heard. And so we were open to including this. We know that there's some concern about it and what the purpose was. We don't want this to jeopardize the bill, and we are good with it being removed from this bill at this time. The only other change you'll see in section 25 is the equivalent of section 14 is removed from SB 36. And so we are proposing that it be removed from this bill as well. And with that, I'll turn some time over to Jeff. If you have questions specifically about, I'm sure he was here to answer those.
Good afternoon, Chair Cruz Crawford and members of the committee. For the record, Jeff Fontaine, representing the Central Nevada Regional Water Authority and Humboldt River Basin Water Authority. I really don't have a whole lot to add other than my appreciation to all of the folks that worked on this bill in the interim. There were a lot of diverse stakeholders, and we kept adjusting this bill as we went along. And we had, I think, an opportunity to do so because we were in the midst of CNRWA and HRBWA. We're in the midst of implementing the interim water rights retirement program. And so we were able to learn some things and incorporate things into this bill. And I think it's a really very well thought out bill, has lots of support. And We just appreciate that this bill is here before your committee. With that, I'll just be happy to answer any questions.
Question.
Okay. Senator Scheibel, and then we'll go to Senator Hansen.
Okay, I have a couple of questions on some of the actually the smaller portions of the bill, because we've had lots of conversations about the water rights retirement. We've had a lot of conversations about section 21.3, but in section 14, I have to pull it back up myself. I'm looking at the text, and I was listening to the presentation saying that we were adding the Nevada Conservation. I thought it was the reclamation program, or who are we adding to what board here? Or to what group here? Explain this section to me.
Chair Cruz Crawford, Vice Chair Scheibel, Andy Belanger for the record. So section 14 is conforming language that establishes in the list of what the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, what their divisions are. It includes the Nevada Conservation and Recreation Program because that's being established earlier in SB or AB 104. So it's simply referencing that it is a other divisions, so all of the different commissions that are part of DCNR, Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. So that's the only thing created in this session, is that Nevada Conservation and Recreation Program.
Thank you. I think I got confused because that's in section 8, and then section 9 is the retiring water rights program. So the retirement of water rights snuck in there in between those two sections.
Yes.
Almost got me. Thank you. Thank you for being so kind in your clarification. Okay, then I do have one other section I wanted to ask you all about, which is in section 5 in subsection, 5, top of page 10, the 1,250 feet rule, essentially. I'm hoping just to get a little bit more context on that, like how many lots do we know of that this would affect in southern Nevada? Because I think it is limited to southern Nevada, right?
Yes, thank you, Vice Chair Scheibel, Andy Belanger for the record. So this is actually a provision, this 1,250 feet is referenced in other parts of this section, but it wasn't referenced in this one. So I think it's in the section right before it or right after. And so it's designed to conform it to, and I'm trying to find the line. It's on page 9, line 17.
Yeah.
So the 1,250 feet is the standard that the legislature has established, but it was missed when this was updated. And so it's just to conform that with the previous section, to make it clear that in all cases, 1,250 feet is the distance. So it's just to make sure that that distance is the same in both of those sections. So it's
Okay, I get that.
essentially, yeah.
Yeah, and at risk of opening up a can of worms, because I do understand that this is more conforming changes and we're not trying to reinvent the wheel here, but we have had a lot of discussions at the legislature. Oh gosh, I'm nervous to even bring it up. About moving people from septic tanks to sewer lines. And so I'm wondering, with this 1,250 feet standard to connect to water, will that also apply to sewer? Are they completely separate? Or, are there gonna be lots that are in this like kind of weird in-between where they are within 1,250 feet of the water line but don't have access to the sewer?
So Vice Chair Scheibel, this is Andy Belanger for the record. This will not have any impact on the septic regulations. The septic regulation is a health district regulation that requires a property owner to connect a septic if they're within 400 feet, I believe. So this 1,250 feet allows them to be on a well, and if they're on a septic, if they're putting in a new septic, then 400 feet would be the standard in Clark County.
Okay, thank you.
what she said. Okay. Okay. Senator Hansen?
Thanks, Madam Chair. I was just kind of intrigued looking out over the audience, been here for a while. We have a who's who of all the water people in this state in this room at the moment, literally. So, and now that we got a bunch of them that were, Alan, what were the head of? Was it Conservation Natural Resources?
That's correct, Senator.
So I got you, got Leo, head of NDOT. We got some major players in this room at the moment. Anyway, I just kind of laughing, looking out over the audience, how many major players we have on this particular bill. The question I have though, the Nevada Conservation and Recreation Program in section 14, does the state engineer have to add another position in that, or is that just another title that they kind of have in that office?
Senator Hansen, I guess the way I would characterize it is that this program has to go somewhere within the structure of the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. So that's what this is doing, is creating that structure. There are no new positions associated with it. There's no costs associated with it. It's a structural change only.
Okay, so that's what I was wondering, is he gonna add another position? We had another distinguished person just walk into the room as well. We have 3 people that have been head of Conservation Natural Resources in the room at the moment, so. No, anyway, my only concern with it is, initially I thought it was mainly gonna be about retiring water rights. It seems to expand a little bit more to Southern Nevada Water Authority type stuff, which I'm fine with. I just want to make sure, though, that if we're raising money to try to retire water rights, that that's the main function of this thing, and it doesn't end up coming up with ways to help people pay for retiring their septic systems or adding turf or something like that. So just want to make sure that we're focusing on the primary mission, as I understood it, which was retirement of water rights, and setting up a program where people can raise money or contribute money to that, and that's still the primary function of the Nevada Conservation and Recreation Program.
So Senator Hansen, I think my previous comments address that the Water Rights Retirement Program is within the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, within a specific program and entity within that department. Consequently, that money has to be used, that is raised for the retirement program, can't be diverted to any other purposes.
Okay, so I want to double check. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator Pazina?
Thank you so much. And really, I have more of a comment. I wanted to say a thank you. I worked closely with Assemblymember Anderson, with Senator Scheibel, with so many people on the interim committee when we were coming up with our solicitation of recommendations. And this one was one that SNWA initially approached me about and mentioned a large working group. And I can't thank the people in this room enough who've all been part of said working group, both for AB 104 as well as SB 36, which we heard in this committee in regards to retirement of water rights. It's been a long road, so it's great to see this bill being presented after so many conversations and stakeholder meetings. So thank you all for the work that you did.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate everybody sitting down with me, walking through the bill. I do have to say, we did have our phones blowing up about section 21.3. I just spoke to our committee manager. He is making sure that amendment is still up there. We did come together and we removed that section of the bill, as we did believe it was a local governance issue, and we want to have broader conversations before the next legislative session about fairness and equity and excessive use charges that are not imposed by all jurisdictions across Las Vegas Valley. So we just want to thank everybody for working through that, and our phone immediately stopped blowing up once we took that piece out. So that is back up there. Senator Hansen, he made sure that part was up there. I feel really good because I had a lot of conversations prior, so I do not have any questions. But again, I do want to thank everybody that worked through this process and everybody in the audience. Okay, great. Does it look like any more questions for with that? If you could step back, just kidding. We have Senator Ellison. We like every single person in our committee to make a comment or question.
Well,
so here we go.
I had more people in my office than anything in this entire building. I mean, it was a constant flow. So I finally come up with the strategy that come back and kicked me in the rear. I said, there's no way in heck I'll vote for this bill. Even my good buddy that we worked together for years, and he's following me up the steps saying, you have to. No, I don't. So anyway, it backfired. The more I told that I would not be involved with this, the more they came. So I want you to know that I had to do something to slow down the traffic, and it didn't work. So, but thank you. And thank you, Jeff.
Okay. Anyone here in Carson City that would like to provide testimony in support may come up and please state your name and begin when you're ready. We are taking 1 minute of public comment per person. Kidding.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. For the record, Christy Cabrera Georgeson, Deputy Director of the Nevada Conservation League. Nevada's groundwater is a critical resource for our economy, natural resources, wildlife, and people. As the driest state in the country, Nevadans place a high value on the conservation of our water resources, and recent polling showed that 92% of Nevadans are concerned about inadequate water supplies in our state. Water basins across the state are overallocated, and ongoing drought is only making things worse. This voluntary program will provide an essential tool for conserving water and reducing the overuse of our groundwater. We urge the committee's support. Thank you.
What am I doing here? There we go. Good afternoon. My name is Leo Drostoff, Senator Cruz Crawford, Vice Chair Scheibel. I represent the Truckee Meadows Water Authority. We were a member of the group that met for 18 months, and we were very pleased that Senator Prezina and Vice Chair Anderson took us up on the offer to meet in the interim. It was a great process, so we'd like to thank those two individuals as well as the Department of Conservation and the Nevada Division of Water Resources. We are here to support AB 104 and its amendments. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Jackie Perot, representing Eureka County. Eureka County supports AB 104, including the amendment presented today by the working group, which Eureka County has been an active part of. We greatly appreciate the process where individuals with diverse viewpoints came together to find common ground on a water bill. Eureka County is specifically interested in support of the voluntary water rights retirement program. We have experienced firsthand how it has proven an effective avenue for the greatest and most quickly attained water use balance, far more so than alternative approaches that often lead to conflict and litigation. We look forward to the continued efforts to finalize the bill and ask for your support in moving AB 104 forward to the finish line. Thank you.
Chair, members of the committee, for the record, I'm Doug Busselman. I'm the Executive Vice President of Nevada Farm Bureau. We also were a member of the working group from the beginning, and we appreciate having had that opportunity to develop this bill in a collaborative fashion the way we did. Nevada Farm Bureau also has policy which supports voluntary purchase of water and retirement to bring basins back into balance. And so we're very pleased that that this bill is before you, and we encourage your support. Thank you.
Hello, committee. My name is Laurel Saito, and I am the Nevada Water Strategy Director for the Nature Conservancy. And it's our pleasure to speak in support of Assembly Bill 104 and the friendly amendment. We thank Senator Prezina, Assembly Member Anderson, and the Interim Natural Resources Committee for bringing forward this bill. The Nature Conservancy supports enabling tools to resolve groundwater overuse that can affect water availability for plants, wildlife, and people. Water law allows curtailment by priority, but this may not resolve the issues if water rights curtailed are not affecting the existing users or detriments to natural resources. So this bill offers another tool to address these situations. And we've worked with others to develop language in the bill and the friendly amendment that will make voluntary groundwater rights retirement an effective tool for addressing groundwater overuse in Nevada. Should the bill be enacted, we stand ready to help with implementing voluntary groundwater rights retirement program that builds on lessons learned from the Nevada Water Conservation and Infrastructure Initiative and other states. We also are committed to assist the state in enacting this program by seeking funds and implementing projects that can demonstrate effective groundwater rights retirement. So we urge your support for this important legislation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Cruz Crawford and members of the committee. My name is Chris Mahana, spelled M-A-H-A-N-N-A-H. I'm a registered engineer and water rights surveyor with roughly going on 40 years of experience of practical application of Nevada water law, everything from filing applications, protests, proving up on water rights, adjudications, hearings, expert witness testimony. I'm here on behalf of Churchill County in support of this bill. I was also a member of the working group. I do have to admit I was the squeaky wheel on sections 2 and 3 regarding the conforming language. I'll admit I am not an attorney. Apparently the attorneys felt that language needed to be in there in the original bill. Myself and I believe the state engineer didn't feel that it was necessary. However, the conceptual amendment, which Mr. Belanger gave an excellent summary of sections 2 and 3, that amendment was drafted by DWR and their staff, and so I am fully supportive of the conceptual amendment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Kyle Davis. Today, on behalf of the Pew Charitable Trust, water conservation and the wise use of our water resources are top priorities for Pew, and we are happy to see this legislation moving forward with the amendments, and we are in support. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Peter Stanton, Chief Executive Officer at the Walker Basin Conservancy, here in support of the bill today. The state's pilot water rights retirement program drove significant impact for the communities of the Walker River Basin, providing a meaningful tool to help stabilize groundwater tables, reduce conflict, and set our communities on a trajectory for long-term sustainability. Excited to support this bill as we go forward. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Kyle Roerink, I'm Executive Director of the Great Basin Water Network. We were a member of the working group, and it was a great honor to be a part of that. Somebody recently asked me, they said, how much money are you going to need to fix Nevada's groundwater problems? And I said, we'll take as much as you can give. And while we don't have any money to fill the coffers right now, if we build it, they will come. And I think what we are asking you all to do is let's build this statutorily. Let's figure out ways to get the money. And this is a part of a silver buckshot strategy. So we support this, and thank you so much for your work.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. Laura McSwain with the Water Fairness Coalition. I appreciate the opportunity to speak in front of you. I also am very, very grateful to Madam Chair and Senator Scheibel and Senator Nguyen for the conceptual amendment. Just as some groundwork, and I don't really want to beat a dead horse, but I know that this is going to be discussed. Oh, okay, there's no horses. Okay. Well, I don't want to beat one, so we're good. Okay. For the benefit of those that you might not be familiar with the penalties that were imposed under the excessive use charges, they were adopted January 1st of 2023, and they were based on a one-size-fits-all threshold regardless of the lot size or family circumstances. The Las Vegas Valley Water District has said that they only intended targeting the top 10 water users, and at the time they were developed, internal documents indicate that they had 374,000 and change single-family active services, and expected that the rules change would impact 37,000 customers roughly. On July 17th, 2023, it was reported by the Review Journal that actually 60,000 residents, customers, were impacted by these penalties. Those who've been forced into compliance have done so to avoid bankruptcy and foreclosure. The resulting damage to our urban tree canopy is visible throughout our valley, as we need it most for heat mitigation and air quality protection. It is no wonder that the record temperatures, increased numbers of pollution days, and the over 500 heat deaths that we experienced in 2024 occurred. The excessive use charges were adopted without direct prior notification to Las Vegas Valley customers. And it would have been very, very unfortunate if we would have moved forward with this, because Las Vegas Valley customers really were not part of the conversation. But there's great news, and the good news is that advances in technology and water savings through drought-tolerant turf varieties and irrigation technologies have been demonstrated to create the water savings SNWA actually seeks. And it also allows for the preservation of the very elements of the community that will maintain the Las Vegas Valley oasis that we inherited. It's our obligation to be stewards of the community's environment for future generations. So again, I thank you so much for the conceptual amendment. We will move forward with the opportunity to have further discussions about water fairness, and thank you.
Perfect, thank you so much. And Chair, can you move that to public comment? Are you okay with that? Okay, perfect, and we'll move that instead of support. And you may go, Olivia.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. Olivia Tanager again on behalf of the Sierra Club Toyabe chapter. I'm here in strong support of AB 104 to improve Nevada's approach to water conservation and groundwater management. This legislation is forward-thinking, science-based, and offers science-based solutions to some of the most pressing water challenges we face here in the state of Nevada. Through this bill, we believe the state is taking a responsible step toward addressing over-appropriated groundwater basins while respecting the rights of existing users. This bill also supports clean water access and conservation, all of which will help rural and urban communities adapt to a drier future as climate change increases. Water is life in Nevada, we all know that, and this bill is a smart investment in the sustainability of our ecosystems, our economy, and our communities. And with that, I urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. For the record, Dave Daslich with McDonald Carano, here today on behalf of the Nevada Mineral Exploration Coalition. You've already heard from the good folks at Mining just how important solid water policy is to the industry and adjacent industries such as mineral exploration, so I won't belabor that. Just want to thank the sponsors and the working group for bringing forward a good, well-crafted piece of legislation, and urge a yes vote.
Thank you. AVH, is there anyone on the line wishing to provide support testimony for AB 104?
You would like to testify? Thank you, Chair. If you would like to testify in support to AB 104, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Hector Ariola, and I am the Policy Fellow with the Nevada Environmental Justice Coalition, and we are in full support of Assembly Bill 104. This bill tackles the urgent decline of groundwater. This will protect our ecosystem and stabilize our water supply. This is especially important when nearly 20% of Nevada's hydrographic areas are overpumped, water that is withdrawn faster than is naturally replenished. Half of our Nevada's hydrographic areas exceed available supply. To put things into perspective, if all permanent water rights were used, many basins could run dry, disproportionately affecting our ecosystem, farmers, ranchers, and native tribes. In a state where extreme heat is accelerating a drought, Assembly Bill 104 is a proactive solution, and we urge your support for Assembly Bill 104. Thank you.
Sir, there are no further callers wishing to testify in support at this time.
Oh, one of my favorite things about chairing natural resources is that everybody shows up usually here in person. Is there anyone here in Carson City that would like to provide opposition testimony for Assembly Bill 104? Seeing none, we don't need those people there in Las Vegas. Anyone on the phone line, AVH, that would like to provide opposition testimony for Assembly Bill 104?
If you would like to testify in opposition to AB 104, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Hello, my name is Diane Henry, Henry, and over concerns about Section 16 of this bill, I'll have to oppose AB 104. When I first read that section, it sounded good, grant money for things like septic conversions for water quality. But without cost limits or some parameters for the amount of grant funding, Section 16 could destroy my neighborhood. This is a very important bill, and I'm not opposed to it other than Section 16, subsection 1, paragraph D and E, which talks about all the costs that must be paid by septic owners. If NDEP or the state or a local government mandates you connect to sewer if your septic system is adversely affecting water quality. As SNWA says, the high concentration of septics in my area has begun doing. But how much of that cost will these grants fund? With low funding, this could bankrupt many people in my neighborhood. It can cost up to $400,000 or more if you're a quarter or a half mile or uphill from sewer. Could there possibly be limits placed on the mandated costs and specify a maximum distance to an existing sewer line for the mandate? Or perhaps specify an appropriate amount or percentage of total cost for the grant funding? With some parameters on Section 16, I would support AB 104 as amended. And I would like to thank Senators Wynn, Cruz Crawford, and Scheibel for their important amendment of Section 21.3. Thank you very much.
There are no further callers wishing to testify in opposition at this time.
Thank you. Anyone here in Carson City wishing to provide neutral testimony? There he is.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee. Adam Sullivan, State Engineer, Administrator of the Division of Water Resources. And this is not the water rights retirement program is not within the Division of Water Resources, but I'm testifying in neutral here, just as the agency who has some responsibility for making sure that the parameters that we're adopting match with how we would implement the law so that the intent is met. That's how I'm looking at it. So first, in section 2 and 3, we do agree that the proposed amendment is better phrasing to accomplish the intent of the bill, whereas the original language could be misinterpreted. And I think that Mr. Belanger made it clear that the proposed amendments to 533-370 have no intended impact on the meaning of that statute except for the recognition of this water rights retirement programs. And this is important because 370 is one of the principal statutes that govern our review of every single application that we receive. So it's commonly referenced, and it's just important to note that there's no impact on that statute except additional recognition of this program. The same goes for 533-371. Secondly, with the changes throughout of removing the word vested and replacing that with adjudicated, we also agree that the proposed amendment, that change is better wording to accomplish the intent of the bill. We interpret adjudicated in this use to mean the same thing as a decreed right, which is how we would identify it in our records. And then lastly, in section 10, we agree that using the word or instead of and will also better align with the intent of the bill. And that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Anyone or AVH, anyone on the line wishing to provide neutral testimony for AB 104?
If you would like to testify in neutral to AB 104, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, the public line is open and working. There are no callers wishing to testify in neutral at this time.
Okay. Sponsor, assembly. Oh, sorry. You think with these glasses I'd be able to see you. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Chair Cruz Crawford and members of the committee. My name is Joe Guild. I'm speaking today as a private citizen to just emphasize the point that this bill and what you've heard today is superb evidence of the need when we deal with water issues to take all the time it takes to create something that works.
Okay, we got an amen from Senator Ellison. Okay, and we are waiving our rights. We do want to thank again everyone that was part of this process and our Assembly Member Anderson and Senator Pazina for all of your work on that as well. Okay, that brings us to our last piece today, which is public comment. If you'd like to discuss something for 2 minutes that has to do with natural resources, but not the two bills we heard today, you may at this time. AVH, is there anyone on the line wishing to provide public comment?
If you would like to provide public comment, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, the public line is open and working. There are no callers wishing to provide public comment.
Great, awesome. Okay. So, seeing no further public comment or none at all, this concludes the meeting. This meeting is adjourned.
Yay.